All right. Jason and I are back for live feed reads Friday, 1 o'clock here in
What's up?
the conference room in the old office building, formerly Lee Elam's corner here on Lumsden and Parsons. So we've some callers, so to speak, sent in a couple of questions. We'll get the easy ones out of the way. Jason, what was the one about?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of these they didn't come in from callers. They came in on Facebook,
Hey,
social media. Yeah, it's the
hey,
same thing nowadays.
they're
But
coming in from callers, Jason.
we've got some fun ones and we've got some pretty interesting ones. So we'll
And
start with something light and
go
fluffy.
Bucks. All right, go ahead.
We'll start with something light and fluffy, and I'll say it's not a legal question, but it's from Facebook. One of the comments. What year did the Reeds settle in Brandon?
Oh, that's a good question. I was born here in 1964, so 1964.
Okay.
Basically,
Okay.
about a mile and a half down the street, just north of here on the other side of Highway 60, 6 houses down from Horseman Junior High. That's it. So there's not too many people that have been in
It's
this
a
town longer than the old Reed clan
I'm not
has.
trying to harp on your age, but
Yeah,
like there's a
56
do you
and looking
know
good.
yeah, well there's a lot that's changed in Brandon.
Oh,
Like
please. That corner on Parsons and 60 was a stop sign. I mean, imagine that right now, a freaking
right.
stop sign.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was Sumner's Meat Market there on the corner, and Brandon Supply, which was the Morgan's Hardware store. That was on that corner. I think what's it, a
No
CVS now?
mall.
Mall,
You're
no.
fine.
The
You're
mall
fine.
was Cow Pastures, the Cary Cattle Company. That was the mall.
Yeah. What
Mhm.
was there any is there any buildings that you remember that are
That are
still
still
also
there.
the same? Yeah.
Well, the down on 60 by that little pond
Uh-huh.
on the right hand side, it used to be a Whataburger. Now it's the truck accessories. You see the big monster trucks out there. That
Okay.
was a Whataburger where we'd literally go for special outings, sit in the car and eat. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think
I
The Waffle House we used to go to is still there.
but
Uh,
it's funny because I moved here like 2002,
mhm.
so I haven't been here that long, and but I've seen it this way. This is how I've always seen it.
Right.
But I've lived in places where like the what to do thing was like we're going to the Walmart,
Yeah,
the
no.
Walmart,
The what to do was Lithia Springs on Saturday and Sunday for maybe a nickel
Wow,
for the whole car, maybe a
wow,
quarter. Yeah, I mean literally that was where we went the
wow,
majority of time to swim in the old in the Alafai River and
wow.
jump out of trees and swings and then to clean off in the springs, which
Yeah,
was very cold.
wow.
Yep.
That it's so good. Good question.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you for posting comments, and thank you for following along with our posting and everything. This is really really good. I'll say another question: Are Ryan and Jackie in Wisconsin for the Bucks game?
Well, the world travelers happen to be in town. No, Jackie's right behind us in her office, and Ryan is right beside us in his. So, nope, I'm assuming they'll be watching the game at some establishment in Tampa this
Get,
week.
Brian's watching, and I think he's the one who asked the question. So he wants to know who came to Brandon first, your grandparents or your parents?
Oh, ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. Probably my grandparents. They were probably here first.
Do you remember like what year
Nah,
that was? He's oh
I
yeah.
don't know. I think some reason I think the house was bought in the 50s.
Okay.
Yeah, they came from Ohio.
So somewhere around the 50s.
Yeah,
Yeah. Cool. 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 Cool.
because believe it or not, my dad was on the last state championship that Plant High basketball ever won. He was
Wow.
on the team. There you go.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's been a long time since Plants won a state title, evidently in basketball.
All right. We'll move into something
Okay,
a little juicier.
sure.
This one's actually in the title of the stream,
Hmm.
and it's kind of like the main thing that this stream we kind of picked to choose it about. So I'll ask it.
Yep.
Um. Oh, that one's not it.
No, it's the why should I hire a
Yeah.
lawyer when I can do it myself, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Why does someone need
Yeah,
a lawyer
and
for a
why do I
personal
want to
injury
pay them? Yeah,
case?
33 and a third percent and so forth.
Yeah.
Oh well, just examples are the best way to do this.
Okay.
We had a case it resolved where the girl was hurt. She was hurt bad as a head-on collision. Courtney Campbell Causeway over there between Rocky Point, that side of the bridge. I shouldn't say the bridge. That side of the causeway and this side. She was going to her friend's house, and an intoxicated individual was traveling the opposite direction and hit her head on. All right. He had $50,000 in policy limits. and they were more than happy to give her that money. So she calls us up and tells us what's going on, and bills were in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we're like, huh,
Hmm.
let's do a little research on this individual. We actually pay.
So they were allotted up to 50.
Yeah, he had a
But her
$50,000
bills,
policy.
but her bills were
her
like
bills
in
were a
excess.
couple $100,000. She
Yeah.
hospital, surgeries. She was hurt.
Yeah.
And so it's like, all right, well, hold on. Yeah, she could have taken the $50,000 and not paid Reed a third of anything. She would have had 50 grand. All right, let's go with that premise. But we told her, hold on, let's do some investigation. Again, we have certain computer programs and places we pay for that you have to, you got to be a private investigator. You have to be a lawyer. They just don't let everybody have these programs. They come out, they vet you, things of that nature. So we start researching the guy. And come to find out, he owned a business in Pasco County.
Okay.
So there may be a confidentiality, and probably is with the settlement. So I'm just going to be generic, but there was a business owner. So I start thinking, wait a minute, can we somehow tie him, so to speak, to this business? And I'm sure, which they did, had a large policy, as most businesses do, and
Right.
get this girl some true compensation. So they denied, of course, that he was in the course and scope of his employment. It was a Friday night, and he was coming from an establishment over in that Rocky Point area. And so we're thinking we just need to get him this business on the hook to do right by this person, this girl. Well, again, through diligence, we started searching some Facebook and social media, and come to find out, he had posted pictures of him with his employees at a local establishment over in the Rocky Point area. And then we did some more digging after the lawsuit and so forth, and found out he had paid for that little soiree with his company credit card. Bam! Thank you. Have a nice day. You're in the course and scope of your employment because you're coming back from a business dinner, and $750,000 later. Thank you. Have a nice day. So this person could have got $50,000 without a lawyer, or do the math, a third of $750,000, got her bills paid, which would not have gotten done, and put hundreds of thousands of dollars in her pocket. That's certainly one example of why you need a lawyer, because if you don't know any better, you would think there's $50,000. The guy doesn't have any other assets to speak of, and that's what I'm stuck with.
Yeah. Yep. Rock and hard place.
Yep.
It sounds to me like that required a level of experience knowing where to look, though, also, and like what strings to pull. Like, I wouldn't know. I would just be feeling stuck.
Well, I'll give you an example. I got a call yesterday from a guy, a man whose daughter was in a crash, and he is named defendant in the lawsuit, and he's calling like, why? I wasn't driving. And I told him, well, unfortunately, the owner of the car is just as responsible as the driver.
Yeah, that's true.
And so he let his daughter, who described by himself as someone that's not very reliable, take his car, get in an accident, and now he's on the hook. So if you don't know, if someone didn't know that, you'd think, well, the driver, like you, may be driving my car,
right?
And you say, Jason, I want your insurance, and your insurance says, oh yeah, well, here's Jason's $25,000, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you don't know any better, you're not going to go to my policy for the $2 million.
Right.
You would think, well, Jason was driving, he's responsible.
Wow.
Well, you are, but if you were in my car, which for purposes of this, so am I. So, and then the list goes on and on about things. Do you have to give a recorded statement to the insurance company for the at-fault party?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not, and we don't allow it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know any better, because you think the person calls and they're all nice. They're good at what they do. This is a machine that's been in business for a long time, whose goal is to not pay out money. So I just need to get the facts. I know you weren't at fault. Tell me what happened. Okay, da-da-da-da-da. Were you hurt? Not really. I'm okay. This is like within hours after the accident, and sometimes it can take 24 to 48 to 72 hours before you kind of wake up and say, oh my God, what happened here?
Yeah.
You've already told the insurance company in a recorded statement, I'm not hurt. You don't think that's hard to unring that bell?
Whoosh.
You can't. Let me give you another example of why you need a lawyer.
Okay.
Another buddy of mine, his significant other loans the car out, or lets a young kid drive the car, kind of in the middle of the night, early morning, so to speak. The facts and circumstances are sketchy at best, but that's not the point.
Right. Okay.
And he kills a woman in their car. So this individual, my buddy, had $10,000 in insurance. Well, because there was issues as to whether or not the driver of my friend's car was a permissive user or whether he stole it, and issues like that, which were just ridiculous. This insurance company refused to pay the dead person's estate, which would be the husband and the kids, tender the $10,000. So they were just wanting to save a penny, and so I wasn't the lawyer. This was my friend, so I was kind of more in a defense mode, so to speak, just kind of keeping an eye on what's going on for him.
Right.
And but the other side did get a lawyer in Tampa, and come to find out at the end of the day, it was over $7 million that this insurance company paid because a penny something a pound wise, whatever that saying is. They were just being stupid and greedy. And come to find out that even though the policy limits were $10,000, if an insurance company doesn't treat its insured right, meaning, let's say you were the my buddy, and you could, I would have taken your $10,000 and let you off the hook. Instead, you're on the hook now for millions and millions of dollars. The insurance company has committed bad faith. Insurance companies don't like that word. Because that word means if you don't do what you're supposed to do and treat people fairly, then a lawyer is going to basically hold your feet to the fire, file suit, get a judgment, and make you pay, at this case, hundreds of times, thousands of times over the actual policy limits that you could have paid insurance company had you not been greedy.
Yeah,
and it's a whole area of law where this happens all the time, where they just refuse to pay when they should, and they don't. And then, if you know what you're doing,
so this wasn't one of your cases.
The first one was, the second was not.
This one wasn't.
He was just, I was kind of, like I said, as a personal injury lawyer, I can sit on both sides of the table. Yeah. If you bring me a case, I could try it from the plaintiff's perspective. And I could flip on the other side of the table, and I could probably beat you
when
from
the
defense
company found out.
It was too late then.
They kind of were dismissive.
Oh yeah,
of the whole thing in general.
Yeah, it was too late. When a demand is made for the policy limits, they have a certain period of time.
Right.
If they don't meet that demand, and then you file suit and you get this judgment against their insured, well.
And the other family sued him. Or they
both.
Yeah.
Yeah, the driver who nothing, and then kid, and my buddy,
the insurance
the owner,
company was forced to cover him for.
Oh yeah, for the excess.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was. Dude, my buddy and I would go into this mediation at one point, and it looked like a New York Stock Exchange boardroom. There were more suits in there around this table. Corey and I just said, we'll sit over here in the corner.
Yeah.
And just for hours and hours and hours, and they had spreadsheets and shows and this, that, and the other, and it was it was a mess to say the least, but. My buddy got out from underneath his foolish wife's behavior, so to speak, and all's well that ended well for him.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's
and
good.
So
that's good. Those are some really high impact cases. Is there a like this has me really, because I'm sitting here thinking like there's no way I would want to touch any of those. I would happily just be like, yes, I need a lawyer. You are you're the guy who knows. I'm the guy who doesn't. Right. This is not my world. Please make sure I don't get screwed. Help me. Right. I wouldn't mind at all. But there's some people who, unlike me, feel competent in this area at least. They're like, I can do this. I can do this. Is there a break point where it's like, if this is the kind of situation you're in, go take care of yourself? Or is it one of those things where it's always a good idea to just call a lawyer? No, in fact, I've gone to people's homes and they're catastrophically injured. Mm-hmm. And there's maybe $10,000 or $25,000, and that's it. Mm-hmm. I say, look, you don't need me. I'm not going to take a third of your $10,000, a third of your $25,000.
Uh, but
Yeah.
they some people understand, but some people get angry. You got to
Mm-hmm.
understand,
Yeah.
you can sue anybody.
Yeah, because then they
But
might feel like you're just not wanting to help
dismiss them,
them.
right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's just
yeah,
not the case. And
yeah.
I always say, look, this is just one person's opinion, one lawyer's
Mm-hmm.
opinion. Feel free to call other attorneys, but
Sure.
understand this: at the end of the day, this is all you're going to get, and you may end up giving a third of it away to some other unscrupulous attorney who will
Mm-hmm.
tell you they're going to do all these things. They'll string it along for 6 months to a year.
Sure.
You'll
Yeah.
think everything's good, this, that, and the other, and then at some point they'll say, well, either this, we're back to square one,
Right.
where it was me at your house telling you that's all there is,
Yeah.
because the bankruptcy rules are such that I can sue and get $1 million judgment against you, Jason, for $2,500. You can walk down the street to Tom Gill's house, Tom Gill's law office, plop down $2,500. He'll go and file bankruptcy, and I'm left with a piece of paper that said, "Well, Jason used to owe me $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't anymore." And so it's just
Wow.
that's the reality, and it's sad.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
just is. I
Yeah.
mean, but there's just that's the way it is. Look, I didn't. What did they say? I don't build them. I only fly them. So this mess was created long before Paul Reed
Right. Yeah.
got his law degree, and
I think
it
that a lot of
doesn't seem to be
people.
changing
Yeah.
for the better.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people. I mean, I'm one of them. Wouldn't necessarily understand enough about the arena that you're in to know when I'm being dismissed and not. I know it would feel like I'm being dismissed, like that you were being dismissive of me. If you're like, oh, I don't want to take your case because I don't want to take any from you, I might be like, oh my goodness, you just don't want to help me get more. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because I could really use your help, but
Right.
I don't think that a lot of people like me understand that, and then you add into that, there are some lawyers who, I mean, it's just all about numbers, man. It's greasy.
Lawyers, doctors,
Yeah.
accountants.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. That's
Sure.
the way of the world. Politicians.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are
Right.
there are good people. There
There are
are
good.
bad people.
There's a
and there-
lot of people
and there's
who
everybody in
they're
between.
just out for
I
their own
mean,
survival.
yeah.
And it's like CYA, and you,
Oh, no,
you don't factor
there are
in because
people
I
that
don't
would-
know you.
They
You
would
know,
they would sign you up and take
Yeah.
that third
yeah,
and say thanks and have a nice day.
Yeah.
And kick you down the curb.
yeah.
It's just that's just not the way we do it. I mean if
And if you imagine it, like both of those perceptions, like both of those instances, leave someone feeling like they've been like dismissed. Like you took my money and I
do.
didn't get any
Well,
help for it, or
you've
you
seen
just
some
turned
of
my case
the
away.
Facebook
You know what I mean?
stuff. They get angry.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I tell you the example:
What a
medical
fickle-
malpractice. We get a lot of calls.
Mm-hmm.
They're very hard, difficult, time-consuming, expensive
Yeah.
cases.
Yeah.
It's just not. Oh, I think my doctor did this. The rules, the
There's a
steps,
lot.
the hoops,
There's a
all the
lot.
things you have to jump through. And so when I say, look, you may very well have been the victim of a malpractice case, but it would take 3 to 4 years and over $100,000, which is your average cost on a malpractice case, to
Yeah.
get us where we need to be. If you're not catastrophically injured, any amount of damages that you may be entitled to that are less than $100,000,
Yeah.
you don't have a case
Wow.
from a business perspective.
Yeah.
And people don't like that. And I get
Yeah.
it. I really do. But
Wow.
bottom line, it is a business. And if we sued, which is about, $1,500, $2,000, every single person that caused an accident that didn't have insurance,
Mhm.
we would go bankrupt.
Wow.
Because there's a lot of them that
Yeah.
don't have coverage or have
Yeah.
minimal coverage.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you
yeah.
just, what is it? You can't get blood from a rock.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
And I get it. I
Yeah,
do. I
sure.
really do. And
As you explain it, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But like I know when you're in the throes of like the stuff in your life happening and it's traumatic, like it doesn't feel.
Dude, I got
it
medical
doesn't feel that way,
bills. My
you know?
car's totaled.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
giving me less
yeah.
money than I owe. So not only was I in an
was
accident,
out of work.
that's
They
not my
had to
fault.
replace me and move.
I don't
forward.
have a
Now I don't-
car, and
yeah,
I still
yeah.
owe $5,000 because I
yeah.
didn't buy gap insurance,
Yeah.
and I can't. I understand.
So that's a great point. That's a great
Yeah,
point.
I get
What
it.
are your suggestions when it does come to insurance? Like, do you have any suggestions where it's
simple.
like
It's
yeah,
simple.
Okay.
If you have health insurance, then you don't need this coverage. Is called medical payments. Medical payments is basically health insurance above and beyond your personal injury protection.
Okay.
Bottom line is, let's just say you go to a hospital via ambulance. Your personal injury protection pays 80% or $800. Well, let's just say the person that caused the accident doesn't have bodily injury liability. You'd be stuck with that 200, but MedPay would pay the 200. It's
Okay.
very cheap. So $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 in medical payments. You're just buying health insurance for if you're hurt in your car, and it's pretty cheap.
Okay.
I mean, we're talking maybe $50 a year.
Okay.
So you want medical payments.
Okay.
Number two is, and I know insurance is expensive. Period. I got daughters, and I get it. But you
Yeah.
want to have it some amount of uninsured motorist coverage.
Okay.
Uninsured motorist coverage does not mean the person that hits you doesn't have insurance. They may very well have property damage, personal injury protection, which is the only thing that's required. They may have comp and collision, but
Yeah.
they may not have bodily injury coverage. Uninsured motorist coverage is basically bodily injury liability coverage that you're buying for yourself in case the other person doesn't have bodily injury liability coverage. They are the same thing. I mean, it's boom, boom. Bodily injury, same thing. One is bodily injury. If I'm at fault, I'm covered. And if I'm not at fault and the other person doesn't have bodily injury, I'm covered there too.
Okay.
It's a must.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, I love having your experience to be able to share and give to other people. This is one of the reasons why was wanting to kind of push you guys in this direction with what we're doing online.
You're the man, the myth.
I'm glad we finally started with found a rhythm. And
that's fun.
I'm loving this.
Hopefully people get something out of it.
Yeah, we'll be able to
and
cut
get
a
to
couple of videos for these.
see us, other than in a courtroom or suit and ties or
For sure.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, these are to be a little bit more laid back. Maybe we can get some other people on here who also want to, at some point.
I wouldn't mind like some little cameo or something.
Yeah,
some local businesses want us to tell us what they do.
Sure.
Yeah, we could. That would be give them
We
a
can
5-minute spiel. Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely.
And
if you wanna be part of it, hey, come in or send a
let me know
email.
first. Like, I
that's
have
what I'm
set up
saying.
stuff. Yeah,
send it to the email.
Yeah.
Say, hey, I work
through the
for
Facebook page or something.
Campbell's Dairy. I'd like to come in and tell everybody what we have.
Yeah.
Well, we'll reach out to you, leave a phone number, and we'll get you in. No problem. I mean, again.
And keep an eye on the Facebook page and the YouTube, because we're going to be able to get those up. One thing that we do need, if people are watching this, that we absolutely need is we need a custom URL for our YouTube, which we can't get until we get enough subscribers. So if people could go and hit that. I don't know what that is, but hey. Yeah. What we need you to do
give us
is
the URL.
Yeah, hit that subscribe button on YouTube.
I got you.
On the profile, so that we can do that. And I'll put a link up on the
Facebook
page.
Jason will take care of all that.
Yeah. So
URL,
take a look. Keep a look
USA,
out for that. Help us out
go
with that.
Bucks. I mean, that's.
Yeah, because right now it's like this 56 character long randomized jumble, and like that's hard to get on billboards. It's hard to like make it where it's easy to find.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's fine too. That's
but
maybe
some people
they do.
out
Hopefully
there
they do.
will.
Yeah.
Well, just tell them hit the button, hit the like,
hit
or
the subscribe button
hit
on
the subscribe
YouTube.
button.
I'll put a link up to it on Facebook.
All right, so everybody have a good weekend.
Yeah.
I know you're going to be tuned in like the rest of us at 3 o'clock on Sunday, rooting on our Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Other than that, Jason, we out?
We are out.
All righty. See you next time.